Paradise, the GTA 6 killer. Or is it? Or is it really a crypto scam? Well, we're going to be talking about that today in today's video. I've been following this saga for a while. I haven't really talked about it on my channel, but we're going to be reacting to a video called Paradise is the GTA 6 scam we all feared. If you like these kind of videos, consider subscribing to the original creator down in the description below. But if you like the comments and reactions and conversations we have here on my channel, consider subscribing to your boy or dropping a like. That is completely free. With all the Japanese out of the way, let's get into it.
Today's Tall Tale has us once again taking a look at Paradise, the self-proclaimed rival to GTA 6, and a lot has happened since my last video back in November. We've now seen missed launch deadlines come and go, trademarks not yet applied for, a bare-bones demo release on a shady third-party launcher, anger and vitriol from the devs focused back at their haters, and underneath it all, a crypto integration that has lost nearly 25% of its value over the last 7 days. Now, if all that sounds intriguing
Can I be honest? At this point, if you launch a game and one of the initial focuses of it, like one of the first things you tell people it's tied to crypto, that's usually a sign that it's not going to be successful. I'm just going to be honest. Because if the game can't stand on its own without the crypto allure to people, like it's probably not a good game.
to you, well, stay tuned because it's time to dive into all the latest with what many are dubbing the day before part 2 Paradise, or Paradise XRPL if you see it available over on the Epic Games Store. If you want to support the channel, the easiest and free way is to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell. And now it's time to dive into all the madness surrounding Paradise.
What an intro. Should I get an intro like that or not? I guess it doesn't really apply to me. I don't really do
One thing we are
tutorials and
guaranteed
shit like
of
that.
with Ultra Games, the studio behind Paradise, is that they tend to show many similarities to another game I covered here on the channel in the past, and you may have heard of this one, The Day Before. Now, through the power of the Wayback Machine and their own Paradise videos and developer AMA sessions, I'm going to show you the constant
Yo, is that Conor McGregor? Hold on.
Paradise videos
What?
and developer AMA sessions.
Dude, yo, first of all, a store like this where you're buying lottery tickets and loot boxes and whatever the fuck's all this stuff is. But the fact that you have what appears to be Conor McGregor, that's crazy.
I'm going to show you the constant barrage of red flags, broken promises, denials, and yes, lies. So to help you understand exactly what's going on today, let's first travel back in time to September 2024. Paradise's official trailer drops on YouTube, and damn if this thing doesn't look pretty good. Almost too good. And
Yeah.
I broke down the onslaught of red flags on display in my previous Paradise video. By the way, link can be found in the video.
Just he'll probably talk about it here in this video, but the fact is, I think the very, very big one that was the biggest red flag almost immediately, if you ignore all the gameplay, right? In the game, you could interact with like people like Ninja, Pokimane, and all these people. And they said, "Oh, they're in the game," but the creators themselves are like, "Yeah, we never knew about this. That we're not in this game, so I don't know why these people are claiming we're in it." So that was the first thing that like really. So this trailer dropped, and everyone's like, "This looks like a scam." But once they saw that you can interact with creators in the game, that was like the next big boom, like news coverage. It was immediately creators coming out saying like, "Yeah, this is they. I don't know what this is."
Description. But for instance, we saw things like a real-life Lamborghini Aventador,
Yeah,
claims of partnerships with
this
major
is
influencers like Pokimane, Ali A, and more,
which is crazy because Pokimane, she would never do something like this.
even showing what looks like Ninja wearing a Kick hoodie, popping a dab, and ultimately this thing culminated in a full-on crypto announcement.
Yep.
Of course, this trailer immediately sets off serious alarm bells. We see Epic Games prominently featured in the first few seconds of this video, indicating a partnership between Ultra and epic, a point that the developers still maintain today, and we heard it straight from their lips during one of their previous developer AMA sessions.
I'm gonna translate those words for you. We work for Epic Games.
But if
That is not true. That's not how that works.
we look directly on the Epic Store, it clearly says Ultra Technologies and Paradise XRPL are independent entities and are not affiliated, associated,
or
partnered with, or endorsed by Epic Games. Even the very concept of Paradise was ripped straight from the GTA 5 Paradise RP server, which you can see here from the original RP trailer, to now this new Paradise trailer.
Welcome to the city of limitless possibilities.
And the camera, staging, and yes, even the background music are identical.
That's crazy. But you know what? Can I be real with you guys? If you're still trying to make an RP server on 5M, you're basically cooked. The 5M is going to shut down soon. Well, we don't really know when, but it will shut down. The best thing to do technically would just to make your own game, RP game. That is actually the smart thing to do, which is kind of why I think this, when it first showed up, people were kind of like, whoa, because it was like, oh, this makes sense for this to happen, but not in this way, not in a crypto scam. But someone should make an RP game. Maybe it should be me.
The team at Ultra Games has also delisted a previous video on their channel that featured a character running around on a beach right next to a Soul Sisters umbrella, which is again directly ripped from the GTA 6 trailer. In fact, Paradise does its best to tie itself to heavyweight titles such as Need for Speed and GTA through the direct use of that Soul Sisters umbrella, or in the case of Need for Speed, here's a pic of the Need for Speed Unbound Palace Edition, and now here's that same Paradise website version.
What?
By the way, has now been
That's
deleted and removed, but you
crazy.
can clearly see the
I didn't know about this part. That's kind of wild.
inspiration, as I sit here air quoting like a boss. Ultra Games has also made multiple claims that they have applied for the trademark in Hong Kong and are doing so in other regions and countries, but if we take a look here in the US, on the US Patent and Trademark Office search function, better known as TESS, there is no mention of a Paradise XRPL, or even Ultra Games. Speaking,
So they don't. So I could go over there right now and trademark Paradise X or whatever. It's crazy. So why are they even? What are they? How does Epic Games even allow this if they're not even trademarked in the U.S.?
of deleted and removed, it's quite the theme with Ultra Games. How about those heavyweight influencers who were partnered with Paradise and who were on full display both in that first trailer and on a previous website version? Well, those two have been removed, and only thanks to the Wayback Machine and again that first trailer on YouTube can we see what Ultra Games was trying to go for. There's also been a bogus Hong Kong business address that led to nowhere, multiple deletions and changes made to the Paradise.
Which, by the way, I think someone actually physically showed up to the office and found out that it didn't actually exist.
Website, strange AMA sessions that look to have actors actually reading from cue cards. I even found this spelling error on one of their first trailers, Transport Editor.
Interesting.
I assume they're trying to spell transport. And with all of these issues just stacking red flag upon red flag. Through their own company description,
It's basically, I mean, if you're not picking up what they're putting down or what he's putting down, it's basically they're rushing to do all this stuff to market it, to then tie it to a crypto, because more than likely they're going to rug pull. This is what a lot of these rug pulls do. And it's actually really funny that these rug pulls all seem to be connected to AI in some way. I'm not saying AI will lead to a scam, but these scammers know that AI is the quickest way to get their scam off the ground and then gone.
Ultra or Ultra Games claim to have strategic alliances with major Asian companies, including Sony
Bold
Interactive,
claim.
Tencent, and MiHoYo, and have often self-described their game as a major AAA title. And misspellings
crazy.
and mischaracterizations are things you would think a major development studio would have under control, but clearly Ultra Games does not. Also, take note here, listed on their company statement, is the mention of a branch located in Georgia, the country, not the state. But
That would have been funny though if they, which by the way, Georgia, okay, two things. If it was actually located in Georgia, there's a lot of studios located in Georgia as well as like movie studios and stuff. So it actually would have, if they actually had a physical address here, it would actually make them, let's say they like, this is just me giving like to anybody the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's say they wanted to make a game and this is kind of what they were going for, but they said, "Hey, we want to do this, but this is not what it's going to be." And then they open a studio in the state of Georgia. To me, that seems more believable because that is what other studios have done. So it's just something to think about. Like if you ever want to open a studio, Georgia's actually a really good place. But it's really funny that they chose Georgia, the country, because there's a lot of scammers there.
by the way, which is definitely important for Paradise XRPL due to its lax laws and regulations surrounding crypto. Now, this is where Paradise really starts to take the make it till you fake it the day before formula and it twisted around with its own nefarious wrinkle. You see, developed in conjunction with Paradise is the Paradise Tap app, available through Telegram, which allows players to earn PAR tokens, the game's in-house currency, with the ability to then use that currency on the crypto exchange. Now, the Paradise Tap app was immediately found to have serious issues, as was the Web3 crypto integration, which is something Steam expressly forbids.
Thank God. Thank God. Uh, yeah. Thank God.
Hence, the game is called Paradise on Steam, but Paradise XRPL on Epic. And for those of you who don't know, XRP is a cryptocurrency token issued by Ripple for the particular use of cross-border payments. Again, I'll drop a link to my previous video down in this video's
So that's money laundering. Sounds like
description, where I encourage you to go check it out.
not money laundering, but basically it's built specifically to steal your money from other countries and bring it there.
I go into far more detail about all of Ultra Games' previous blunders, and I'll also add in down there the awesome work of other Paradise Scam Discord members and fellow content creators like Jetro, Cyberboy, and Clean Sanchez, among others, who have worked tirelessly to get the word out about what this game is doing. Because now, and if this story couldn't get any crazier, we need to talk about the last week for Paradise and Ultra Games, starting off with April the 2nd. The date Ultra Games has been pushing as to when we, the public, would get to see the full release of Paradise on all platforms. And like I said, here's where it starts to get really interesting, because Ultra Games has constantly been moving the goalposts behind the scenes when
Which I will hear what he has to say, but I want to point out, look at this janky ass
Paradise
movement.
on all platforms. And like I said, here's where it starts.
So I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some like expert game developer, but I've tried to make a game before. Pretty pretty far along. So what this is, what you're seeing here is like a base, like you just buy a movement off Epic Game Store marketplace or the asset marketplace, and you just rig it to a body or the body to that, but you don't fine tune the actual movement.
Really interesting.
This is
because
what it looks like. Because like look at his leg, how it
on all
swings.
platforms. And like I said,
That's not normal.
here's where it
Watch.
starts to get really interesting, because
See that little swing right there? That means that he didn't rig. He hasn't. They haven't fine tuned the movement, and that's why they all look the same, like this.
Ultra Games has constantly been moving
So no, it's not even. They couldn't even do the bare minimum of making it look AAA.
the goalposts behind the scenes when it comes to how this game is actually going to release. For instance, here on November the 4th, there's clearly a link to Play Game, which, by the way, did not work. November the 20th shows the site now changed to free to play soon. Here's a pic from December the 14th. It says free early access, and now the big change, March the 18th. So this is last month. Notice the link to Play Game or Free to Play Game is now gone, replaced with the text that reads April the 2nd demo game release. By the way, the roadmap at the bottom of this previous website version now also shows for the first time PC demo release Q2 2025.
But then notice how it's like No Steam release, by the way. Oh, you can't see because my camera's in the way, but all crypto shit. Are all crypto shit. It's like, bro, this is not even a game.
Now, this is a massive shift from where the devs had been professing that we would be getting the full game release on this date, again, April the 2nd. And as far as I know, unless you were constantly monitoring the official Paradise website, you would not have seen this change over to demo release. And finally, another change I wanted to highlight here. On March the 26th, the site now reads Game Launch, which confused more than a few people because that didn't work either. But here's the thing. Paradise did launch, but not in the way you would expect on reputable platforms like Steam and Epic. And as of the publication of this video on April the 5th, Ultra Games claims they are still in that certification process with both of those platforms. Instead, if
With 800,000 players plus across platforms, endless world, endless play, but the game never released. So what?
you now go to the game's website and click on the Play Demo Game button, it's going to take you to a site called GGem, where you have to download and launch the game through this specific site. But here's the thing, and consider this a warning. This GGem site is a total mess because if you attempt to read both the terms of service or privacy policy, they lead to nowhere. They don't exist, which is a bad sign to say the least. Those that did attempt to access this demo version of Paradise reported insanely long download times, many times crossing into days of download, along with reports of both Denuvo and keyloggers being installed on their PCs.
Oof. Oof.
And again, here's a warning. I would tell anyone who is interested in Paradise to not engage with this crypto Web3 onboarding site that is best known for removing any challenging steps for non-crypto natives. How about the actual demo, though? Does it?
That's just, yeah. The fact that oh my God. Thank God for these creators to actually look into this stuff because imagine, well, I still think people are going to fall for it, which it's kind of their fault, but it is what it is.
It at least achieved what the devs were expressing very early on in their overall desire to rival GTA. And again, as you can guess, absolutely not. Taking a look at the footage, and we see some nice looking interior areas that have already been identified as asset packs, including the apartment interior and later on a nightclub. The character seems to be using the standard Unreal character movements, which look horribly janky, especially in these close quarters. There's no seamless movement between playable areas, instead relying on a UE5 switcher to jump between these specific zones. The genre-defining AI-integrated NPCs are brain-dead and boring. The beach, the Lambos, and open world are not here. There are no missions. There's no empire building. There's nothing to interact with outside of a few NPCs, awkward AI conversations, and a garage that you can get into a few cars but cannot take out into the open world. To say this is a mess and absolutely nothing like what was shown in the early trailers would be an understatement. And for those of you who were around for the day before, this
one I think was probably the worst. I still think this one was worse than if you don't know what the day before, basically you might cover it, but it's basically a zombie survival game and they were showing these trailers and at first it felt believable. But then it was like 2 or 3 trailers in, everyone's like, "Wait a minute. When is this game actually coming out?" Because they show no progress and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to make a big announcement soon." And then they release a totally different game. Um which I think was like a prop hunt style game, which, don't get me wrong, that's fine, but they were just kind of using the hype of this game to push other games. But then they never released this one. Nor did they even really try, I think. Oh, no, they did. But they were using volunteers, free labor, to try to make this game.
should look all too familiar. Now, through all of this, the development team actually remained completely silent. So at this point, April
Look at all these crypto and content creators. I hate this. I'll be honest. I'm not it's terrible.
2nd, the proposed launch date has come and gone. It's now blurred into April the 3rd. Again, no official statements were made, but now the investors were starting to doubt Paradise. And remember, this shell of a GTA clone exists to create buzz around what the game is truly about, what it's centered around, crypto. Because as this bare bones demo launched, people got their first glimpses at the actual hard product of Paradise, and the value of the PAR tokens then came crashing back down. Now, I want to say up front, I'm no expert in cryptocurrency or the markets, but when the value of your PAR token loses that much value that quickly, I'm going to mark that down as something you want to try to avoid.
Guys, no, you gotta hold it. No, this is what you want. You gotta hold while everyone else is selling. Guys, come on, guys, you don't understand. You gotta when it's up, you want to make sure that you hold while everyone else sells because you want to hold the value. It's like a good thing. And then when it tanks, that's when you want to sell because you want to make sure everybody else got their bag first. You want to be considerate. So as I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm joking, by the way. Don't ever do crypto. Just don't do crypto, to be honest.
And based on my past experience with these kind of games, I'm fully expecting a full shutdown notice, along with a statement that the studio, quote unquote, lacks the funds to continue development. So we've made the tough decision to close down that has become all too familiar in the gaming sphere. However, in what might be seen as a last gasp effort made by Ultra Games, they decided to request questions for another AMA, reaching out to the community for their most requested ask of the studio.
Oh, God. Here we go.
In an attempt, and I'm sorry, I'm chuckling here. Give me a second.
What is he going to say?
They reached out, as they put it, in an attempt to maintain transparency and openness. Yeah. And here's the final bit of today's story, because Ultra Games, could have told the truth and asked for another chance, but instead, they decided to channel their inner Fantastic Studios and the day before, lashing out at the community, and as they put it, the haters, doubling and tripling down on previous falsehoods. And I don't know, for a bit of comedy, let's just take a sampling of some of the insane responses they made. In their opening remarks, they say, all these bad reviews only benefit us. The whole world is talking about us, and we've attracted nearly 1 million people thanks to our haters. Thank you all.
I will say this. Can I say this? One of the things about these scammers and these crypto bros, I don't want to say this as a generalization, but this is very, 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 very common amongst crypto bros. They're all extremely self-conscious, really have some you can't, they take you make fun of them, they crumble, right? And I don't know if it's because they're I don't know why they end up like this. Maybe because they're scammers, they think they need to have that ego, but I just don't know how so many of them end up so fragile. I don't know.
And how about that Q&A? Well, here's one of the questions. Why didn't you say in advance that you were releasing a demo version? Remember, I already showed you on the Wayback Machine when they changed it in March. Their answer from the beginning, that's a lie. We clearly positioned the game launch as early access. Even before the IDO, this was mentioned on our website, social media, and in email invitations with access codes. They could have stopped there, but they continue on.
I was about to say, he's reading this middle part. I was about to say, I was reading this part as he was reading the middle part. I was like, why didn't he talk about this part? Holy crap. He's about to read it, though.
If you're just a gamer, then what are you complaining about? The game is free. You didn't pay for anything. We're developing this game with our own money, and you have no right to demand anything from us.
Or is it your own money? If you're asking for somebody to buy your crypto and if people are buying it, is it your own money though? Or are you selling something?
Here's another beauty. It says, why do you compare yourselves to Rockstar Games? The studio's answer, we have never compared ourselves to Rockstar Games. Again, this is a lie, and I will reference back to Cyberboy's email where they clearly mention Rockstar Games in it. They say that's your imagination. Any comparisons are happening only in your head. We don't have billion-dollar budgets or thousands of employees, clearly. What we did promise, a unique AI-based NPC system, we delivered. This is the first free open world project with live AI characters on XRPL, and we made it happen. Yeah.
I don't know. Crypto bros are just like a special kind of crazy. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Again, if this is how you want to appeal to your potential gamer base by, as you said, being transparent and open, somewhere in the basement of Ultra Games, that memo fell on deaf ears. But to kind of wrap this whole thing up, I want to jump back to bullet point number 3, where the studio kind of says the quiet part out loud with this little statement here. They say, to attract market attention, again, remember this is a crypto game, without spending millions on advertising, through content and viral marketing, and we did it, and then they add on, of course, thanks to our haters. And to me, and I believe to many others, this is where the heart of Paradise truly sits. This isn't about rivaling GTA 5 or 6.
It's a rug pull.
Creating a genre-defining open-world experience where you can interact with every NPC through AI chat functions, which, by the way, can easily be achieved through simple Unreal plugins. No, this is about crypto.
Yep.
Possibly pump and dump PAR, their in-house tokens, but to do it in a non-traditional way by wrapping it up in a GTA skin so it looks less intimidating to gamers, all the while waiting for the best possible moment when they can pull the plug and walk away with millions.
And I think this is probably like a loophole to get away from like influencers rug pull, like paying an influencer to promote it and then they basically get in trouble. I don't know. I think they probably, because they kind of hid their identities. I guess we can check out another video later on in the future. Let me know in the comments down below. But these rug pulls are just, they're so tiresome because it's like, guys, you know what's crazy with all the time that you're doing with just making these scams and these rug pulls, you probably could have actually made something and contributed to society. But instead it's like this delusion of grandeur when it comes to these crypto bros. But anyway, I'm glad that it's finally out and we can finally say that it's cooked. And put this behind us. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Were we too hard on it? Do you actually expect to see a GTA rival crypto game coming in the future that's not Paradise? Let me know what you think. Check it out next one. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.